We play the Falcons this week. Now, the Falcons in the offseason signed Kirk Cousins, 4 years, $180 million. Drafted Michael Penix 8th overall, which I didn't understand. And now Kirk Cousins has been benched. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, no doubt. Okay. But he hasn't won anything either. They gave him $180 million. He's already benched in year one of a 4-year contract for a rookie. You think that, like, are the Falcons getting any heat for this? Probably not, because they're not in New York. But what I want to say is, so with Michael Penix playing, the Giants had an opportunity to draft him 6th. I don't know about you guys. People that know me, Chris knows, I've been talking about Michael Penix for years. I've loved Michael Penix since he played at Indiana. I was a big Michael Penix fan. A little concerned about him being a lefty, and the injury history with Evan Neal would have been protecting his blind side. If he, granted, this is a good game for him to come and play because we stink.
As good of a game as you could come in.
Yeah. If he blows, say Michael Penix has a game, 340, 2 touchdowns, rushing touchdown. How bad does Joe Shane look? Does it matter if Michael Penix kills us, or does it look bad? Does it look even worse for Joe Shane that they passed? Because you know people are going to talk about it.
I'm worried that at this point it doesn't matter. Like, he could look like Joe Montana on Sunday, and Anthony Richardson could look the same when we play the Colts, and it won't matter. Joe Shane is still going to be here regardless. So that's my fear, because now I'm seeing these articles coming from beat writers and, media reporters who are in the building at practice, and it's giving the narrative that the Giants are trying to get a feel for how we would all feel if they keep Joe Shane. So I am feeling like that it won't matter. It doesn't matter. Bo Nix looks great. It won't matter if JJ is good next year. Who am I missing? One more.
Penix, who Bad Dog asked the question about.
Okay, so Penix.
Yeah.
He could have a great game on Sunday, and I think we'll all say, good job, Joe Shane. You missed or passed on another quarterback, but I think that internally it won't really make a difference. And that's kind of what I'm worried about. I hope for Michael Penix's sake, he goes out there and has the game of his life. He's got some confidence in him. I feel fairly certain that we will be able to do that for him. And, he's going to have a great start to his NFL career.
Yeah.
Anthony, how do you feel about it? If he balls out, does it make Joe Shane look worse already, or look worse than he does already?
I mean, I don't know how much worse he can look than he currently does. He looks pretty stinking bad throughout the entirety of this year. I mean, you can make the same argument. Bo Nix has been an offensive rookie of the year candidate pretty much for at least half of the season. So if you want to make the argument that Joe Shane messed up by passing over Penix, he also messed up by passing over Bo Nix. And that was my argument back in April. I had a whole spreadsheet of hit rates with different PFF grades and contracts for first-round quarterbacks versus day 2 and 3 quarterbacks, and then receivers day 1, day 2, and 3. And the hit rate on first-round quarterbacks is great. Outside of that, you're pretty much screwed. You're really throwing darts at a board blindfolded. And so my argument back in April was, even if you're not head over heels for Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy, or Bo Nix, even for that matter, the way you are for Malik Neighbors, you still have to take them just because of a probability game. It wasn't about your evaluation, how much you like the individual player, but probability says the Giants always should have gone with a quarterback with the number 6 overall pick. So even though I love Malik Neighbors, I thought he was arguably the best player in the class. I knew that taking a wide receiver with the 6th pick while you had an opportunity to take a quarterback wasn't going to play out well for this team. That's why I had the 5-win projection earlier this year, and that's why I think we're in the mess that we are, and I don't think Joe Shane looks good at any point this year.
Chris, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't agree with everything Anthony said, but I respect it in terms of just taking a quarterback to take one. I disagreed. I wanted Neighbors. But what I'll say about Penix is this should be irrelevant. Like, if they're going to fire Shane, whatever. I'm not going to fight. We'll talk about this episode that I think, even though it's very unpopular right now, and people in this panel may disagree with me, I do think it's best to push forward Joe Shane, and I'll explain my reasons throughout this podcast. Not because I think he's done a great job. I don't think he's done a great job. And it's one of these things that I'm scared to talk passionately about because it's a topic where no matter, in the back of my head, I'm like, it's kind of like the Daniel Jones contract. I was for it, but in the back of my head, I was like, it's probably not going to work. I just think it's the best alternative in this situation. Joe Shane's probably not going to work, but in my opinion, it's the best alternative in this situation. I'll explain throughout the podcast, but they're probably going to fail no matter what they do because they're the New York Giants. But as far as the Michael Penix thing goes, My take on it is this: it should be irrelevant. No matter how he does in this game, should have no bearing on whether or not Joe Shane comes back for the New York Giants. And ultimately, if Joe Shane is back with the New York Giants, he's going to be graded on the quarterback he drafts in next year's draft. That's all there is to it. If he doesn't hit on that quarterback, he better be as good as Penix or better than Penix, because you passed on Penix. But Penix playing well in this game, I think, should have no bearing on whether or not Shane comes back. There's a lot of other things you could fire him for, but he's going up against a depleted defense, a team that's trying to lose. I don't care if Penix throws for 5 touchdowns. That shouldn't make the decision whether or not Joe Shane comes back for the New York Giants.
Yeah, Anthony mentioned Bo Nix. The only reason I talked about this at Penix is because he's playing the Giants, and that was pretty much the thing. And we're all getting, like, Bo Nix has done very well. He started out very slowly, but I don't know how many people on the East Coast are watching Denver Broncos football. Like, I know I haven't really paid much attention to Broncos. I don't have NFL Sunday tickets, so I can't watch them anyway. Obviously, there's a huge game Thursday. I'll be able to watch them, and I'm going to watch that because Denver Chargers should be a great game. And our guy Borna, we got to root for the Chargers for our guy Borna, no doubt about it. Is it wrong for me to be rooting for Michael Penix? Is it wrong that I'm more excited about watching Michael Penix play Sunday than I am watching the Giants?
If we were starting Boyle, maybe there's a little bit of excitement there. No, there's no excitement at all whatsoever.
No, I mean, I'm more excited about watching Michael Penix play against us than I'm more excited about us playing, is what I'm saying.
We're not trying to win the football game. It's hard to be excited about the Giants.
I'm watching the Giants at this point because I have to. I don't want to watch them on Sundays, but I got to be able to talk every day on a podcast.
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, listen, that's part of having a podcast, which, by the way, not only can check us out on YouTube, you can check us out on Apple, you can check us out on Spotify and Amazon. You can check us out on those 3 outlets as well. But yes, like you said, part of being a content creator, part of doing shows and podcasts is the good, bad, and the ugly, which has been a lot of ugly. You have to stay with the team through and through, but it is difficult. I'm not going to lie, man. It is hard to watch the Giants at this point. No, you want them to lose. They're probably going to lose, and there's really no interest